Chosen one, listen carefully. This moment isn't random. It's divine timing. They thought you were weak when you walked away. They laughed when you went quiet. They tried to break you with gossip, betrayal, and silence. But what they didn't know is that God was using all of it as your training ground. Every test they sent your way only revealed your strength. Every delay was divine protection. You were never losing. You were being positioned. And now they're realizing who you really are. The same people who tested you are now regretting it because God has revealed your spiritual rank publicly. You carry a light they can't touch, a peace they can't fake, and a favor they can't stop. That's why their energy feels uneasy around you now, because your rise is their reminder that divine favor always wins. So don't dim your glow. This is your season of divine proof. God says, I told them you were chosen, and now they'll see why. Stay calm, stay focused, and watch how everything they used against you turns into your testimony. Before you get lost in this video, you must first do 3 things to connect with God's energy. First, you must like the video and then leave a comment. Thank you, God, for choosing me. And finally, you must send your signal to the universe by subscribing to the channel. They thought you were ordinary until God exposed the truth. They thought you were just another face in the crowd, someone easy to overlook, someone who would never rise beyond the limits they set for you. They saw your calm nature and mistook it for weakness. They saw your silence and thought it meant fear or confusion. What they never realized was that your silence was your strength, and your peace was your weapon. You were never competing with them. You were being prepared by God for something greater. Every time they looked down on you, heaven was looking up at you. Every time they whispered behind your back, God was writing your comeback story. You were hidden, not because you were unworthy, but because God was saving you for a divine reveal. Sometimes God hides his strongest warriors in plain sight, allowing the world to misunderstand them until the perfect time. And when that time arrives, no one can deny the glow that comes from divine favor. For so long, you felt invisible. You gave your best, yet people acted like they didn't see your effort. You showed love, loyalty, and faith. But instead of being appreciated, you were often taken for granted. But that was part of the plan. God wanted you to learn who you are when no one claps for you. He wanted you to build strength without needing validation, to grow in private before shining in public. Because when your season of exposure comes, no one will be able to say they made you. It will be clear that only God could have elevated you from where you were to where you're standing now. Now look at you, rising quietly, shining steadily, glowing differently. The same people who once ignored your presence now can't stop watching your progress. They talk about your growth with a mix of confusion and curiosity. They ask, how did they do it? But deep down, they know it wasn't luck. It was grace. They're witnessing firsthand how God turns the overlooked into the unstoppable. The one they thought was too quiet or too nice has now become the one who walks with unshakable peace and undeniable power. Your confidence no longer comes from people's opinions. It comes from your connection with God. This is what happens when heaven decides to reveal you. The glow they see isn't just success. It's spiritual proof that you survived everything designed to break you. You're not bitter, you're better. You're not seeking revenge, you're fulfilling purpose. The same heart that was once overlooked has now become a vessel of divine light. So, don't shrink back when people suddenly start noticing your worth. You've earned this recognition not by chasing it, but by growing into it. They thought you were ordinary. But now they see what God always saw: a chosen soul, protected, anointed, and destined for greatness. Keep walking in that truth, because the season of being underestimated is over. Now, your light has been exposed for the world to see, and no one can deny that you were never ordinary. You were always chosen. Every test was a setup for your promotion. Every test you went through wasn't random. It was a divine setup. Every betrayal, heartbreak, and rejection you experienced was a part of your spiritual training. At times, you wondered why things had to be so painful. You questioned why people you loved turned their backs on you, why doors that looked perfect suddenly closed, and why life felt unfair. But now, when you look back, you realize something powerful. Those moments didn't destroy you. They refined you. God used every trial to strip away what was weak so that what's strong could rise. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. The storms were never meant to drown you. They were meant to strengthen your foundation. There were nights you cried yourself to sleep, thinking you had lost everything. But in heaven's plan, those tears weren't wasted. Each tear you shed was watering the soil of your future blessings. Every time you stayed kind when you could have been cruel, every time you forgave when you could have gotten revenge, you were proving that your heart was ready for divine promotion. God saw you passing tests silently. You didn't post about your pain. You prayed through it. You didn't beg for attention. You stayed focused on your growth. That's why the next chapter of your life isn't just a reward. It's divine justice. You didn't quit when others would have. And that's what set you apart. Think about it. Every person who betrayed you was actually pushing you closer to purpose. Every closed door was redirecting you to something better. Every rejection was God's protection in disguise. The people who walked away were never meant to walk into your destiny. They were there to teach you lessons, not to hold your future. You didn't lose anything that was truly meant for you. What you lost were things that would have slowed you down. God was removing distractions while preparing your table. The very same places where you were rejected are going to hear your name again. But this time, in honor, not pity. You see, when God promotes someone, it doesn't happen through shortcuts. It happens through testing. Tests reveal your readiness. And you, chosen one, proved your readiness not through perfection, but through faithfulness. You stayed loyal to your purpose, even when no one was clapping for you. You trusted God's plan, even when you couldn't understand it. That's what makes your elevation different. It's not built on ego, it's built on endurance. Now, your breakthrough season is approaching. And it's not luck that brought you here. It's grace, discipline, and spiritual strength. Because heaven has a perfect record. It always pays back those who endure with faith. Everything you went through was leading you right here. You were not being broken. You were being built. Every test, every loss, every pain was constructing the stronger, wiser, more powerful version of you. And now, God is saying, well done. You're ready. Your promotion has already been signed in heaven. It's only a matter of time before it shows up on earth. They misjudged your silence. There was a time when your silence made people uncomfortable. They didn't understand it, so they judged it. They thought you had lost your confidence, your voice, or even your purpose. They mistook your quietness for defeat, thinking you had finally given up. But what they never realized is that your silence was never about quitting. It was about aligning. While everyone else was busy making noise, you were making progress in secret. God pulled you away from the crowd, not to punish you, but to protect your growth. He needed you in a quiet space where the opinions of others couldn't drown out his voice. That silence became sacred. It was your spiritual training ground. During that season, it felt lonely. You were no longer interested in explaining yourself, no longer desperate to prove your worth, no longer fighting for people to understand you. You started realizing that peace is far more powerful than attention. In that stillness, your focus deepened. You began to see what truly mattered and what didn't. You learned to listen more, to your intuition, to your heart, and most importantly, to God's guidance. And while the world assumed you were lost, heaven knew you were being positioned. You were gaining inner strength, the kind of power that doesn't need to shout to be felt. Meanwhile, others were out there showing off their temporary wins, chasing validation, and competing for applause. But what they didn't know was that while they were performing, you were preparing. You were building character, sharpening wisdom, and gaining peace that no one could take from you. God was equipping you quietly for something louder than words, your next chapter. That's why now, as your blessings start to unfold, people are shocked. They can't understand how you've come back stronger, calmer, and wiser when they thought you had disappeared. What they failed to realize is that the silence they mocked was your growth season. Now, your presence speaks volumes. You don't need to announce your power. It radiates naturally. You don't need to argue your worth. Your peace proves it. The same people who once doubted you now feel uneasy in your calmness. They sense something divine about you, something unshakable. That's because you're no longer reacting. You're responding with purpose. Your silence taught you to master your emotions, to observe instead of absorb, to choose peace over chaos. It's a level most people never reach because they're too busy talking when they should be listening. Today, you stand as a living example that silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. You don't need to explain how you did it. Your glow says it all. They misjudged your silence, but now they can't deny your strength. God used that quiet period to prepare you for everything that's unfolding now. The peace you carry isn't accidental. It's the result of deep healing and divine alignment. So never feel bad for going silent again, chosen one. You didn't disappear. You evolved. And now, your silence speaks louder than their noise ever could. God revealed your rank without you saying a word. You didn't have to say a single word. Your life said it for you. God revealed your rank without you ever needing to explain who you are or defend what you carry. For a long time, people didn't believe in you. They thought your silence meant you had nothing to show, that your humility meant you lacked strength. They expected you to chase validation, to prove your worth, to beg for recognition. But you didn't. You simply kept walking in faith, quietly doing the inner work, staying true to your purpose. And now, that quiet consistency has spoken louder than any argument could. God Himself stepped in and showed the world your true value. The same people who once doubted your strength can now feel your authority. It's not because you shouted, it's because your spirit shines with something divine that can't be explained in human terms. Your growth didn't happen overnight. It was built through pain, patience, and perseverance. When others were busy trying to be seen, you were busy becoming. You worked in silence, trusted in God's timing, and waited until heaven said, "Now." And when your time arrived, nothing could stop it. You didn't have to lift yourself up. God lifted you. You didn't have to prove your worth. Your progress did it for you. The peace you now carry, the calm confidence in your energy, and the glow that surrounds you, all of it reveals your spiritual rank. It's the kind of grace that can't be faked because it's earned through alignment, not ambition. People can sense it when they meet you now. There's something different about your presence, something pure, grounded, and powerful. You don't even need to talk much. Your energy carries weight. Your silence feels like wisdom. Your smile feels like light. That's because you're not just walking in your own strength anymore. You're walking with divine backing. When you enter a room, things shift, not because of ego, but because God's favor travels with you. You've reached a spiritual level where you no longer chase validation, and that's exactly why people can't ignore you anymore. You've become undeniable. And now, those who once tried to question you are quietly realizing that your elevation was never man-made. It was heaven-approved. They can't explain why doors open for you so easily, why peace follows you wherever you go, or why your life seems protected from chaos. What they're witnessing is divine order. God showing them that when He chooses someone, no human opinion can reverse it. Your blessings are not random, they're confirmation. Your glow is not about vanity, it's evidence. Evidence that you were chosen, prepared, and positioned by something greater than yourself. Your life has become the testimony. You are living proof that when God reveals your rank, no one can deny your authority. Let your peace speak for you. Let your growth speak for you. Let your presence do the talking. Because when God decides it's your time, no explanation is needed. The world just knows. The ones who tested you are now watching you rise. The tables have truly turned, and you can feel it. The same people who once tested your patience, doubted your strength, and laughed behind your back are now forced to watch your rise in silence. There was a time when they thought they had the upper hand. They believed their words could break you, their actions could stop you, and their rejection could define you. But what they didn't realize was that while they were busy trying to tear you down, God was quietly building you up. Every insult became motivation, every betrayal became redirection, and every closed door became divine protection. Now, as your light begins to shine brighter, they're stunned. They don't know how you survived what was meant to destroy you, but that's exactly how God planned it, so they could witness what divine favor looks like. You see, your rise is not about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving God right. All along, He knew who you were, even when others couldn't see it. He knew your heart, your effort, and your faith. That's why He allowed certain people to test you, not to crush you, but to expose their true nature. Some of the people you trusted were only meant to be temporary teachers. They came into your life to reveal what loyalty isn't, what real love looks like, and how to recognize energy that doesn't serve your purpose. And though it hurt deeply, those lessons made you wiser. You learned to set boundaries. You learned to stop explaining yourself. You learned to trust God's timing over people's approval. Now those same people who once questioned your worth can't ignore your progress. They see you walking in peace, glowing with confidence, and standing taller than ever before. It's confusing for them, because they expected your downfall to be permanent. But what they didn't understand is that God was never finished with you. He was preparing your comeback. And when God prepares a comeback, it always comes with evidence. Your elevation is the proof that no weapon formed against you could prosper. You were never meant to fight them with anger. You were meant to rise in silence and let your results speak for themselves. And now, as your blessings unfold, they're realizing something powerful. It was never personal. It was spiritual. They weren't just fighting you. They were unknowingly fighting God's plan for your life. That's why everything they tried to block has now turned in your favor. You're winning not because you sought revenge, but because you stayed aligned. You kept your heart pure. You trusted that God would handle what you couldn't. And He did. The same mouths that once spoke against you are now forced to speak about you. With awe, not arrogance. Let your peace, your progress, and your glow do the talking. Those who tested you are watching. And deep down, they know the truth. They didn't just test you, they tested God's chosen one. And God made sure your rise became the answer they can never ignore. Your pain activated your purpose. Every pain you've experienced, every tear you've cried, every heartbreak you've endured, none of it was wasted. It all served a divine purpose. You may not have understood it at the time, but God was using your pain to shape you into the person you were always meant to become. Pain is never just pain when it's in God's hands. It becomes purpose. That season of heartbreak, loneliness, and loss wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you. You had to be broken open so your real power could come through. Sometimes comfort keeps us small, but pain forces us to grow. The very moments that made you question everything were the same moments that pushed you closer to your purpose. You see, pain is a divine teacher. It teaches lessons that joy never could. That heartbreak you thought would break you forever actually opened your heart in a new way. It taught you empathy. It taught you how to love with understanding instead of attachment. The rejection that once made you feel unwanted actually built your confidence because it showed you that your value doesn't depend on other people's acceptance. The losses you cried over, the things you had to let go of, they built your strength. You learned that you could survive what once seemed impossible. You learned that even when everything falls apart, you don't. And that realization changed everything. There were nights when you thought you wouldn't make it through, but you did. There were days when your spirit was exhausted, but somehow you found the strength to keep going. That wasn't an accident. It was divine assistance. God was walking beside you through every dark moment, not to punish you, but to prepare you. The pain you carried became the very thing that refined your soul. It stripped away false identities, fake relationships, and limiting beliefs. It showed you what truly matters and who truly matters. It made you real, humble, grounded, and wise. And that's why today, when you look in the mirror, you don't just see the old version of you anymore. You see a survivor. You see a warrior. You see someone who has depth, peace, and strength that can't be shaken easily. The most beautiful part, the version of you that exists now, is exactly who God always saw. Before the heartbreak, before the loss, before the disappointment, He already saw this version. Strong, compassionate, fearless, and unbreakable. Everything you went through was designed to bring you closer to that identity. It wasn't punishment, it was alignment. You had to lose certain things to gain clarity. You had to feel broken to remember your power. You had to walk through darkness to understand your own light. And now, your story is no longer about pain. It's about purpose. The world will see your glow, your wisdom, your grace, and they'll think it came easy. But you'll know the truth. It came from the fire you survived. And that fire didn't burn you. It birthed you. Your glow is making them uncomfortable. Now that you've stepped fully into your purpose, everything about you feels different, and people can sense it. Your glow isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It's the kind of light that comes from deep healing, from surviving storms that were meant to take you out. You don't walk the same way anymore because you're no longer carrying the weight of what broke you. You walk with peace, and that peace radiates through you. You talk differently now. Your words carry calmness, power, and wisdom. You don't chase, argue, or defend like before because you've learned that peace is more valuable than proving your point. And this new version of you, it makes some people uncomfortable. They were used to your broken version. They knew how to manipulate that one. But now, this healed, confident, glowing version of you can't be controlled. You're free, and that freedom intimidates those still stuck in the same place you left them. You see, your glow is not just about appearance, it's about energy. You've outgrown survival mode and stepped into alignment. You no longer react to negativity, you simply rise above it. That calmness you carry now is confusing to people who once thrived on your chaos. They used to feed off your emotions, your need to explain, your constant care for their opinions. But now, your silence has power. Your distance has purpose. You've realized that not every reaction deserves your energy, and not every connection deserves your access. You no longer seek validation from others because you found validation in your relationship with God. And that's what truly changes everything, because when your peace comes from heaven, no one on earth can steal it. People can feel your elevation, even if they never admit it. They see your life improving, your energy glowing, and your presence shifting. Some will try to downplay it. Some will act like they don't notice. But deep down, they feel it. The same people who once underestimated you now feel uneasy in your presence because your light exposes what they haven't healed. Your success triggers their insecurities not because you're showing off, but because your glow reminds them of the work they refuse to do. But you're not responsible for their comfort. You're responsible for your calling. God didn't give you that light to make everyone like you. He gave it to guide others and confirm your growth. Remember this: when God blesses you, not everyone will clap. Some will question, some will gossip, some will distance themselves, but that's okay. You're no longer living for applause. You're living for alignment. Your glow isn't a show. It's a signal that heaven's light is alive within you. You've been transformed, and transformation always unsettles those who preferred your old version. So don't dim your glow to fit in with people who lost access to the old you. Let them be uncomfortable, because that discomfort is their conviction. You've earned this peace. You've earned this glow. It's not arrogance, it's evidence that God's hand is on you, and your soul is finally shining the way it was always meant to. God says, you don't have to prove anything, just keep rising. God is saying to you right now, you don't have to prove anything, just keep rising. You've already done your part. You've cried, you've prayed, you've endured, and you've stayed faithful when it would have been easier to walk away. You've tried explaining yourself to people who never wanted to understand you, and you've wasted energy trying to prove your intentions to those who were determined to misunderstand them. But that season is over. This time, you don't have to defend yourself. Your results will. The same God who saw your tears in private is about to reward you in public. What's coming next won't require explanations. It will require silence, gratitude, and grace. Your blessings will speak louder than your words ever could. For too long, you felt the need to justify your journey, to explain why you moved differently, why you walked away, why you chose peace over attention. But here's the truth. When God gives you vision, He doesn't need you to convince anyone of it. He needs you to trust Him enough to walk it out quietly. That's why He told you to step back, to go silent, to move in faith, not fear. Because He knew the day would come when your life itself would become the evidence of His favor. You won't have to say, God is with me. people will see it. They'll feel it in your glow, your peace, your confidence. That's the power of divine proof. It speaks without sound. And yes, not everyone will be happy about it. Some will pretend not to notice your rise. Others will question how it happened. But let them. You're not rising to prove them wrong. You're rising because God decided it was time. Every closed door, every delay, every painful goodbye, it all led here. You're walking into a chapter where everything that once worked against you will start working for you. You don't need to push anymore. God is doing the pushing for you. The grace on your life is opening doors you never knocked on. It's aligning you with opportunities you didn't even chase. That's how divine favor works. It finds you when you're focused on purpose, not proving. This is your proof season. The very people who once doubted you will be forced to witness your breakthrough. But remember, this isn't about revenge, it's about revelation. They weren't really testing you, they were testing God's chosen one. And now, they're realizing that no one can block what heaven has already blessed. Your rise is not arrogance, it's obedience. You kept moving when you could have stopped. You stayed kind when you could have become bitter. That's why heaven has announced your name. So, walk forward with peace. You don't owe explanations. You owe gratitude, because what's coming next will speak for itself. And when it does, even your silence will sound like victory. Chosen one, take this as your confirmation. The battle wasn't to destroy you. It was to prove who you are. The regret they feel now is not your revenge. It's their revelation. You were never fighting for recognition. You were walking toward destiny. God has revealed your rank. Stay humble, stay focused, and remember, your victory doesn't need noise. It just needs faith. If this message speaks to your soul, type, "Thank you, God, for choosing me" in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to stay connected to your divine journey, because your story has only just begun.